So in this next section, we're going to talk about the CAGED system and what exactly this method of visualization is. CAGED, literally, it says it on the tin. Basically, each letter relates to a chord shape that we can create on the fretboard. So if we take a very, very basic C major shape, it's one which we all learn right when we're first learning guitar, this one. We basically don't want to be limited to just that one shape. We can take this through 5 different shapes across the fretboard and separate the guitar into these 5 boxes, if you like. So all you need to do in order to work the shapes is you just need to have a basic knowledge of open chords. So the first shape, like I say, was the C shape. The next shape would then be an A shape. So if you know a basic A major chord, open chord, it looks something like this. If we were to translate that to C, all we would need to do is find the root note, which would be on the 3rd fret again of the A string. And now our shape would be up here, which would be the 5th fret on the D, G, and B string. This would be the A. We just need to connect that root note, so we get something like this. And we would refer to this as the A shape for C major. So if you think of the letters then within the word CAGED, we've already had C and then we had A. The next one will be G. So if you know a basic open G major chord, it should look something like this. So all we need to do is translate that to the note C, which we would find on the 8th fret of the low E string. We just need to change the finger in a little bit. This is quite an awkward shape to play. Using the same logic then, so we've already had the C shape, the A shape, the G shape. The next one, so the next letter in the word CAGED, would be E. So if you know a basic open E major chord, it should look something like this. All we need to do is translate that to C. So it would be the same root note starting on the 8th fret of the low E string, except this time we're just going to change the fingerings again. So we've got this. Notice how that looks, again, very similar to the open shape. We just take it down here. So the final chord would be based around a D shape. So again, if you know a basic open D major chord, we've got something like this. We just need to translate that shape to a C root. So the C root will now be on the 10th fret of the D string. We have to change the fingerings around. This is quite awkward, but it should sound something like this. Finally, if we want the octave of this then, we simply go back to the C shape. So if you think back to that basic open C major chord, we had something like this. All we have to do is take that up 1 octave and change the fingering around. Remember, we had open strings down here. Now we actually have to finger them. So we will be up here. So there we have it. That is essentially the CAGED system. Of course, these shapes would translate higher up, so you could get an A shape up an octave up here. G shape, E shape, D shape, etc. I won't go all the way up, but you get the idea. So they were all the major chord CAGED shapes. Like I say, it splits the fretboard up nicely into 5 different positions. We can also do the same thing with the minor chords. So again, it's the word CAGED, and we just take a shape for each individual letter within that word. So let's actually start this time with an open A. So we're going from the 2nd letter of the word CAGED this time. So a basic open A minor shape would sound like this. So taking the same logic after this then, the next letter in the word CAGED would be G, so we need to create a minor shape from this. So this should look a little bit like this. The next one would be the letter E, so we need to create an E minor shape, again with an A root, so this should look like this. The next one would be a D shape. So we'd be over on the 7th fret on the D string for our root note, and we should get something like this. Next one would be a C shape. So our root note would be on the A string, and we get something like this. Finally, we'd be back at the letter A, so we need just an octave of the original open A minor shape, and that should look and sound something like this. So that is the CAGED system. Like I say, we have 5 then really easy to access shapes, and these translate across keys. All you need to know is the root note involved and what shape from within that letter. Like I say, C shape, A shape, G shape, E shape, or a D shape. Now, while this is all well and good, it does tend to limit you in the terms of you learn the shape and you just use your muscle memory. I think it's really important to be able to visualize what are the intervals within these shapes, always relating it back to the root. This enables you to be more free with your shapes, but it also helps you to understand what's actually going on and what are the inner relationships within the chord shapes. So this is a great starting point in terms of getting 5 quite useful chord shapes under our belt. But I do think it's important you should be viewing these in terms of intervals as well. So when you're practicing these shapes, look back to the root note and identify what is the minor third, for example, what is the perfect fifth, what is the root note. So that was a brief overview of what the CAGED system is. We had 5 simple shapes, both major and minor. I hope they are of use to you. Let's move on to the next lesson.